can do that. I need to play with this later. My YouTube setup, but I'll
Quick
leave it.
story. I was just in a live with some other people, and one guy said he entered a long on March 31st and closed it this morning at like 28,625, 5,000 point winner.
Oh yeah. Welcome to the day trading. Those are the people usually. Obviously you're using real money and you got enough in there to hold that trade like that. But that's awesome. I'm sure there's a lot of people that did that. The fact
The
that
market
they
has swiftly rejected the recent attempt to hold the anchored VWAP at 28.
I'm gonna mute him for a second, guys. The reason, or the fact that he had the balls to hold that long is pretty impressive, right? With all the all-time highs that we breached. Um, yeah, guys. Again, I am still gonna prioritize shorts over longs. Um, I think that the risk still of us dropping down is going to be greater than up, right? Now, granted, we just had some crazy um, pressure up, right? Just absolutely nasty candles. I mean, right there, another blow off top, 3 EU. So you got to be careful, right, with your selections of when you do go short or long, right, within. So, um, but yeah, so let's talk briefly, guys. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna go a little into it because you all should not be trading open. I am not actually gonna even trade open because we don't know. Just to kind of give you a little bit of a kind of look here, right? This is our 1 hour, absolutely just a push, and so as I keep talking about, and I said this last time, nobody's gonna know the exact top or bottom of anything, right? But this blow off top is pretty much what I expected. So I've already kind of see that as exhausted. Now, can we go further? Sure, but guys, we're so overdue for a pullback. It's not even funny. So I think the risk of getting caught into a deep pull day, right, um, is greater than the continued push. Now, it just means you got to be patient, right? So my advice on the day for people taking trades is I'm not a big fan of doing a continuation play today because I don't any break north in a continuation has a risk of just absolutely collapsing. Anything that breaks south, right, in a continuation has a risk of absolutely bouncing. It's been doing that. And so for me, I'm going to kind of prioritize playing potentially both ways, mostly probably short. But I would prefer to have on low time frames, right, some kind of pullback, right? And we actually been seeing that in Neo's guidance, right? Is he's been prioritizing more pullback. So I adjusted some things on the longer term time frame, guys. We have the macro uptrend. This is one that I'm going to watch as well. If we can come down into here, which is probably pretty likely for us to do, um, that's going to be a make or break. Either we're going to bounce or it's going to be a full pull, right? So we had this push here, um, right here, right? That we're kind of collapsing. So I didn't take any of the trades, but we were kind of watching it and more leaning towards the shorts. I have been watching Neo's guidance and it's been pretty spot on. So definitely want to lean into his guidance from that. These white lines here, guys, I just want to capture the high and the low of that explosion that we got last night in Asia. You can also do something similar here and here, but this one right here was more intriguing to me because this one right here took a few minutes to get to it. This was like anybody that was trading, this was an instant blip. It was just boom, shot up, and it was done, right? It was so fast. And so when I see those type of explosions, I like to kind of measure that high and low, and then I want to see, are we internal and do we get expansion? And it's kind of perfect because the low of it right around here, if we breach that, we're going to get deep expansion to the south. If we get a push back up and we can breach back above it, notice how you have something like this, like just a basic trend line, right? That would be that breach, right? And so then you'd have expansion to the north. So I'm going to kind of use that to gauge what I'm doing. But let me see. I know it looks like we still got some people kind of coming in here, but a couple things with Neo. Very exciting, guys. The mentor got a group got a little taste of it. We had just an absolute breakthrough last night on him, and so when he reads the reports, you're going to notice he's going to read it a little smoother. We actually got Neo to uh, have a personality that you can actually talk to, right? And so I'm going to show you guys. I'm kind of thinking how I want to do this here. Let me do it this way. I'm going to keep this screen, but I'm going to go back down so TikTok won't be able to see the full thing there, but that's okay. And then let me share this. And again, guys, I'm going to go a little into this because I really want to let market open settle. Now, if you guys know how to trade it, and those that are more experienced, then by all means, I just am not doing that. So, but this is actually really exciting stuff, guys, that we just kind of created. And so the potential of what we're going to do with this is just so crazy. So we have, and anybody who has the ability to go into a trading course now has this ability. We've pushed it live. And so when you come into our trading courses here, I did create the starter course. So you do have the trading starter kit. It's a very basic one. It's free for everybody. So you don't have to have a subscription to anything. You can just go in, click it, and take it. It's not very long. It's pretty simple. At some point, we're going to tie this one into Neo to where you actually, look, I passed it. You actually have to take this in order to watch his stream, right? It's just a way for us to know that you can understand how to, kind of know the basics of trading, right? Time frames, charts. You can see the chapters are not very long, candles, all that. Some chapters, I think 2 is only like 1, right?
Chapter 2.
Say like that. And so it's a very basic one. For when we do force it, anybody that doesn't have it completed, I mean, you can go straight to the quiz if you want to, and the questions are not really that hard. So I'm pretty sure you guys will all be able to pass those if you have any kind of trading knowledge. Now, the exciting part is, guys, this was the breakthrough part. So if I come into any of these lessons that I'm doing, and let's say I want to come into charting foundations, right? And I'm going to come into, we'll just find a page here. We'll just stop here. That's fine. So when I'm taking my lesson here, right, she's going to...
All markets behave the same.
She's going to read it to you like that. We added a lower option now that you can actually talk to Neo. And so just to kind of give you guys an example of it, you can actually type in here and ask Neo about that, and you can ask him to elaborate a little deeper. And he has a full personality, so he will actually talk to you. It was really funny. Those in the mentor group got to hear it when we were playing with it. He said something about boss, right? And I go, oh, when you say boss, I go, man, it makes me think like you're referring to my boss at work. And he responded back and he goes, ha ha, that's funny, but no, I'm referring to. So it made me laugh. But when you want to talk to him, right, all you do is do the microphone here. And so the biggest thing, guys, why we wanted to push this in the trading course first is that I think there's a big issue in trading courses where people sell you the course and then you go through the course and it's expected that you just understand it, right? And that's a big issue because I run across so many people that say, man, I paid all these hundreds or thousands of dollars to a course and I don't really understand it still, right? And so now you can actually ask him questions. So all you would do is you're going to press the microphone. We have 2 things that I want to add because we were up late last night. We finally pushed it. One, when I ask him a question, there's no stopping him right now, but I'm going to have, Alex is going to create a button like you would on any of the AIs, right, that you can stop him talking. The other thing is when she's talking on this, when you talk to him, it's going to stop her. That doesn't work yet either, right? So we're going to work on that part too. So for now, you just want to mute her. When you come into here, so if it's going through and you're reading it and you're like, you know, extremely thin depth. Or let's ask him about algorithmic dominance, right? So I can click here. Hey, Neo, on this course, I don't really understand algorithmic dominance. What does that mean?
Great question. In the context of NQ, algorithmic dominance means that the vast majority of price movement is driven by automated, high-speed computer programs rather than human traders making manual decisions. These systems, such as latency arbitrage and sweep and reverse engines, interact with the market in milliseconds to exploit tiny liquidity imbalances. Because they move so fast and with such high volume, they often create fake outs or wick traps that can make it look like a trend is starting, only to immediately reverse it. Think of it like being in a room where a supercomputer is dictating where everyone moves, and you are just trying to follow the trail it leaves behind, instead of reading human emotion in a chart. You are essentially learning to read the fingerprints these algorithms leave on the order flow. Does that help you see why we prioritize structural logic over just looking for patterns?
So
Would you like to go over how those fingerprints show up as wicks on your charts?
So he's going to consistently ask you, like, do you want to go over this? Do you understand that? Right? Like, that's the context in there. We want him to go. So you can mess with them and be like, all I hear when I hear algorithmic dominance is that you think that you're better than me as an AI, as a trader.
I appreciate you being direct with me, but that is not the case at all. I am simply a tool designed to help you decode the language of NQ, which is written by algorithms, not by human intuition. My goal is to help you see the market objectively so you can stop being a victim of those algorithmic traps.
Stop
When we
being a
analyze
victim.
why price moves the way it is, it's not about me being better. It's about us using the structural rules from the course to keep your capital safe. Does that perspective shift things for you? Or would you prefer we jump into one of the other 6 questions a trader must answer to see how they keep us on the right side of the trade?
I think that was very helpful. I'm just going to go back to the course because... Oh, hold on. It timed out on me. I'm going to go back to the course because I get very emotional when I decide to do an entry. I don't know if I can do trading. It gets very emotional.
It is completely normal to feel that way, and honestly, most traders go through the exact same struggle. The reason it feels so emotional is likely because you are currently trading based on visual reactions rather than the structured, 6-question checklist that keeps professionals objective. When you don't have a clear, rule-based answer for questions like, what regime is this? Or, is this candle efficient? Your brain fills the uncertainty with stress and fear. By slowing down and forcing yourself to answer those 6 questions from the course before you ever click buy or sell, you replace emotional guesswork with a disciplined, professional process. Why don't you try keeping that checklist on a sticky note next to your monitor the next time you look at your charts?
He said,
Would you
keep
like
a
me to break
sticky
down
note.
one of those questions, like determining the current market regime, so we can see how it helps lower that stress?
He said keep a sticky note. That's funny.
He is standing on business.
But guys, just to go into this, I know we got market open going bananas, right? Which is fine. We'll go there in a second. This is active for anybody that wants to do it. It applies to any courses, even that free one that we have. When it's related to courses, his goal or objective is to make sure you fully understand everything within the course, right? And he will keep talking to you until you want him to stop talking, right? And so now that we have that logic, guys, we have so many things. I'm just going to speed through that we're going to implement it into. One being the session, right?
Hello, I'm Neil. Let's capture the move.
So we're going to add a spot here, right, where you can actually ask him about a call, right? Like, hey, you put down concerns on this, like how much of a concern should I be about that? Or why is that a concern? Or why? Like, you can actually question his call. He's never going to tell you the details, obviously, of all the details of why he did the call, but he will explain the call based on what is here that you see, right? So that's going to be awesome. So I believe, and don't hold me to this, but I believe Alex is going to even set it up where you can say, hey, I'm in this long, like, what are my concerns? And he'll be able to check that data for you, right? Which is going to be sick. To kind of fast forward through, we're going to also be revamping Trade Vision. So we're going to get rid of all these subscriptions and choices. He's not going to do images.
Hello, I'm Neo. I'm here to help.
And so this is going to be kind of like your support data bank, right? If you want to know what a term means, if you want to know what VWAP means or whatever, all these basic questions you might have, right? He's going to be able to answer that. He'll also answer any kind of trading questions you have. And we're actually going to actually implement too, where he'll guide you as to where to go in the site for certain things, right? So, including like links and things like that. So it's going to be really sick, guys. But the trading course part of that is fully live. So anybody who has access to the courses or anybody that wants to take these courses, you guys can use them. So I would love for you guys to play with that and let me know what you think. Again, guys, we just barely cracked that last night, and it was not easy. So, if there is any kind of quirks or missteps, I'd love to know. The beauty of it is by us adding it into his calls, right? It now has made it to where when he's reading his data, it's a lot more smooth. It's not just kind of like reading from a card or whatever, if you will. And so so I'm excited. I think it's just an absolute awesome breakthrough, because now you truly have something or someone, right, that is able to give you that kind of support. So, but thoughts on that, anybody? I know it's new to some of you. Questions?
Pretty cool. I wish I had that when I was getting started.
Right. That's the point, man. Is I want to give people a good place to start, right, when they can do it. And I think that, like, many of you guys have been in that position where when you come in, sometimes you don't want to ask a question, right? Coming into a community, especially when you're newer, can be intimidating because you hear people talking about all these crazy things that you don't know nothing about, right? So now you can kind of expedite your learning through asking him, right? And so we're gonna expand on that a lot. So it's gonna be absolutely sick, guys. So just want to look and see. Yeah, I already got that there. Trying to play with my screen here on this side. Let me look. I want to zoom it. Probably do full screen. That works. Kind of cuts off some of it, but that's okay. All right, guys. I'm gonna unmute Neo here in a bit, but I want to wait and see what the market's doing here. So let's look at the market, guys. So again, this is why I'm totally fine with staying out of it. You can see the breakdown that we have here. Got some trends there. I was expecting us to get this pocket here where we bounced. Doesn't surprise me because it's right at the prior highs within that. The fact that we exploded back up doesn't surprise me because we reclaimed all of them. We also reclaimed that low. Can't lose focus on the fact that we're still creating potential lower highs, right, until we break these upper levels there. So let's see if we can find any directional stuff here, guys. So we're gonna come in. We can see that we're getting a little bit of a pull and then a push. Let's see. His last guidance was long entry on the breakout hold above 436, and so we ended up getting that about here, right? And then we ended up going all the way to 60, so that one actually played. Interpreted, right? Whether it's the breakout play, right? We didn't get the end hold, right? We want to, for the short, he's talking about we want to get the rejection off the 1 minute Lisma, which would be up there. And he wanted to fall back below the anchored VWAP, right? Which is going to be 424. So, yeah, that one actually played out as well, right? That would be that close there. So honestly, depending, if you're short scalping, right, either way, it actually played out on him. So let's just kind of watch and see, guys. Again, for me, it's a difficult, guys, this whole week is, I think, going to be a little tricky because we're getting so high in this range that I think a lot of people are going to be expecting some kind of pullback. And so usually when you get these potential expectations, right, you get a lot of like whipsaws like he talks about, where out of nowhere you're going to get a big push or you're going to get a big pull, right? Because they're going to be stop hunting everybody. They want to keep you guessing on the market. So we got to stick with what we see on the chart and and just go from there. So I'm going to delete this line here. So let's just see what we got going on. Right now we have a nice little doji on the 5. So we can kind of mark that as our high and low, right? So marks at about 447 and then low 338, right? So 1 minute trap has us south. We do have some decent confluence between 386. That 1 minute trap's got us more southern. The 15 seconds got it more northern. And the 5 looks like it's building a kind of an order block hold there. So a lot of indecision in here, guys. As we get this pull, let's just start looking at what the hammers and dojis and what the candles are telling us. So when you come over here, we do have the hammer within that, the doji, and we got the close above. That should give us enough to push a higher high. If it doesn't, and it comes down and collapses right below that low, then that's going to come down for a deep low. So as this pushes up, I want to watch the DOM. How are we rejecting? Are we rejecting on the lows? Are we getting up to the highs, right? You know, pretty decent probability the way that it looks and what it's holding that we're going to get back up to this 200 area. And then from there, guys, if we breach wick that and close above, it's a long road back up. It's going to be a very bullish day again, right? The fact that we had a push with a halfway reclaim within that, and then the bounce tells me that, you know, as of right now, there's more strength, right, than to the north than weakness. So, but we do know we got this trap zone. In order to invalidate that, it would be about 352. So it looks like it needs to get a close above that, and then it will invalidate that zone. So now the trap that was called here was based off this candle, and we didn't really get that close below, right? So you didn't get the confirmation from the trap anyways. But there's the push. So we got the, again, remember, halfway hammer close above should push. We should get that high. Now that high tells us everything, because if we get a equal high and this full collapses back down, right, it's gonna be pretty violent. If we do get a rear back halfway somewhere around here, right, within that, and then we push again, then it's gonna likely be a pretty good push back up into that 200. So let's just wait and see what that does. Guys, what I want to do today, because of what the upgrade that we did with Neo, man, we've been pulling analytics for Neo, and like his calls, if you interpret them correctly, are just been absolutely spot on, right? And so I'm going to unmute him today, with it being kind of a trickier market, and I want to see what he is calling. Like, what does he see? What is his guidance? And then I'm going to kind of mark his rules from the long entry, short entry, and I want to see which ones play out from within. So, yeah, so I'm going to unmute him, and then each time he talks, I'll just kind of stop. But if you guys have a question, you can either put your hand up or ask that, and then I'll be happy to cover that. So, but let's unmute him. So let's see. So see how we keep failing to push that high. So let's see what the candles do. We do have a lot of indecision here. So close below there should push it. Close above here should push it. Right. Again, I'm not interested in taking any longs here, because I think as long as we stay below this downtrend and that 200, it's going south, right? If we breach that, then I'll be interested in possibly taking some pushes back. Now we know the macro side of it. We have the doji above here, high, low, and then the close above that, right, would push it to that area. So any questions, guys? Good deal. Just be very patient today, guys. Be very patient. The market conditions have been absolutely wild. So 2 minutes, we'll get his next call. So we'll wait for that and see. Plus that'll be our ORB set. Yeah, see the push. And a lot of times, guys, when I think the market's going to be a little wonky, I like to just see, is it respecting what it should do, right? And so when we get the hammer close above, that should have created a higher high. It pulled back, which is fine. It didn't quite create it. But that pullback, notice how we were above that halfway, right? And we retested that low. And that came up with a hammer, close above. That should have created an explosion, and it did. So we're currently still respecting a lot of that structure, which is good. We know we have a breach wick here. Any kind of close above there is going to cause even more violent move. north, right? So let's look and see. Some concerns on the breakout would be probably this level here. I'm gonna just mark it. Right, so we'll just kind of watch that as a possible concern, right? Because it's going to be a deep prior high, plus we would be below those lows. So even if we get a breakout here, if we reject on that, right, it'll be a decent pull. So even if we get through that, if we can get through that. So let's look and see. So we know we have these highs now. Anything that holds above that, because we've expanded so far through it, any kind of pullback that holds above that is going to continue that expansion, right? Now, the way that the 5-minute Lisma
The market has successfully cleared the 1-minute EMA 200 at 28,471.13, establishing a strong bullish breakout and signaling a significant shift in immediate structural control, sentiment, bullish pressure, confidence. 7 out of 10. Reason. Price is trading in a clean expansion phase above both the 1-minute EMA 200 and the 15 seconds EMA, with positive Lisma slope development confirming strong upward momentum. Concerns. The 5 minutes Lisma at 28,548.13 serves as the next primary macro resistance target, and the distance from the 1-minute EMA 200 creates a risk of a liquidity pullback if the momentum stalls before reaching the macro target. Long entry option. A long entry is valid if price holds the 1-minute EMA 200 at 28,471.13 following a brief retest, targeting the 28,548.135 minutes Lisma, with invalidation on a sustained break and hold below the anchored VWAP at 28,426.70. Short entry option. A short entry becomes valid if price rejects a test of the 5 minutes Lisma and confirms a failure to hold above the 1-minute EMA 200. Targeting the anchored VWAP at 28,426.70, with invalidation on a clear push above 28,548.13. Summary. The bullish breakout above the 1-minute EMA 200 confirms a strong intent to test higher macro levels, prioritize entries that look for support at the 1-minute EMA 200, and manage trades tightly as price approaches the 5 minutes Lisma, as this is a high probability area for potential profit taking.
So 471 is going to be what he's saying. He wants the break and then the confirmed hold of support. So when he says things like break and confirmed hold, right, he wants the breakthrough, that retest of it, and then the confirmed hold. Now, confirmed hold for me is going to be give me a hammer, give me a close above, something that shows that it's now acting as support, right? Because if it doesn't do that, it could collapse. And so his short... What I find is interesting, notice guys how far of his invalidation level was. He's saying that he still thinks that it's a valid target unless we get below like 426. Like that's way down here, right? So he's taking a pretty good expansion from that one. The short entry, he would prefer a rejection off the 5-minute Lisma, which is up there. And then he wants a failure to hold above the 1 minute or the 1 minute 200 EMA, and so that would be targeting the VWAP of the 426 down there. So I love that he's doing that because it tells me, if you notice, his long is valid until there, and his short target is there. So he's kind of using both of those kind of coupled together, guys. So to me, this looks like it wants to get up to this level here. So I think it's not a bad kind of play call within that. So let's see how we got that. Yeah, there goes the push. So what I want to see for me, right, if my bias is more, to play the shorts, right, I want to see it kind of come up and tap that and then get that rejection back through, right? Now I can look back on my micro, and I don't really have a lot of really good separation through any of these, and so it's going to be pretty staggered as far as on the way down, right? On the way up, we do have pretty good OA from there to the all-time high, but I want to see how this thing reacts, right, as we're going up. Now we know that the ORB is set now, so we have our high and we have our low, right? Looking at about $150 or $60 away. And so now we just kind of want to watch the candles, right? Let's see what the candles do within. So we know we have the doji here, right? So this is also our trend line. Any kind of close below that doji is going to sweep pretty hard. But anything that is above 434 is still flat bottom supporting the push, right? So we got to be really careful trying to jump into a short too early, right? It's rejecting off these highs here, it looks like. Almost perfectly, actually. So let's see where the pressure is. We're definitely getting some...
The market is currently
Minor pull.
consolidating beneath the 1-minute EMA 200 at 28,471.27, having retreated from the recent high while maintaining a structure above the anchored VWAP at 28,430.63. Sentiment: bullish pressure. Confidence: 4 out of 10. Reason: despite the retreat, price is holding above the anchored VWAP and remains within the bullish influence of the 15 seconds EMA, though it is struggling to reclaim the 1-minute EMA 200. Concerns: the 1-minute EMA 200 is acting as immediate overhead resistance, and the 15 seconds LISMA is pulling away from the current price, indicating a loss of short-term momentum. Long entry option. A long entry is valid if price confirms a reclaim and holds above the 1-minute EMA 200 at 28,471.27, targeting the 28,548.345 minutes LISMA, with invalidation on a break and hold below the anchored VWAP at 28,430.63. Short entry option. A short entry becomes valid if price rejects a test of the 1-minute EMA 200 and breaks below the anchored VWAP at 28,430.63, targeting the 28,359.545 minutes EMA 200, with invalidation on a clear push above 28,471.27. Summary: we are currently in a pivot zone. Wait for a decisive move and hold either above the 1-minute EMA 200 or below the anchored VWAP before initiating a position, as the current range-bound behavior makes it difficult to establish a high-conviction directional bias.
What a sweep there. That was cool. You see the whipsaws I was talking about, right? I think as they start to push things, they're going to just sweep that, right? But this is big to me, guys, because we have absorption to the north, right? We swept it twice in these 15-second candles, and we got absorption. Any kind of close above there should spring us pretty hard, right? And so that would also validate that same on the 1 minute. So let's see where this closes. It's interesting to me, guys, because again, like I said, being up in this range, for me, the way I trade, I'm more inclined to take those shorts, but we're still seeing the market do fairly bullish things, right? But we know that we're way up in a range that could just absolutely collapse us, right? So it looks like that one rejected right off of 500. So his thing, he wants long entry would be a hold above the 1 minute 200 EMA, which would be right there. Really is all he wants, right? So when I look at the hold above, he's looking mostly at the 1 minute, but you can look at the 15 second and say, okay, if this price is around 71, how's it holding on 71, right? Are we getting higher highs? Is it holding? Are we getting dumb jumps north around that area, or are we getting drops, right? And so we haven't quite got that hold that he wants. The short he doesn't want until we retest it and reject off the 1 minute and we get back below 430. So he's not even interested in going short unless we get back here, right below that. And that's a wide target. You see that 28,359? That's a big target, so he's expecting, I think, a pretty good pull if we get down there. So, but be really careful, guys. Again, this market's wonky, man. It just wants to climb, but there's definitely sweeping it hard, and at some point the market's going to go, we found a top, right? And you're going to get those deep sweeps, but right now it's not doing anything really bearish. It's, if anything, it's more bullish, right, with the hammers that are going on. So let's see. So we're getting our pressure there. Got the reclaim of it. Again, I'm looking. What's up?
I think we'll probably range a little bit today.
Yeah.
They're building a new range, so like this is a dealing range that
Mm-hmm.
like on the fixed range volume profile. So if I go from my normal um, fixed range volume profile that I normally do, where I go back to yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
it's it's still showing bullish, right? But if
Yeah.
I go from if I take the break from the lowest point, which is at 4:15 a.m. Um, and then I run that fixed range volume profile to current. We're in a balanced profile
The
right
market
now.
has
So
successfully reclaimed the 1 minute EMA
I can mute him.
220.
Go ahead.
yeah, so that sort of indicates to me that they're trying to sort of build
Yeah.
like at fair value in this range to potentially push it higher or just to build orders and then dump it later. So and
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow being Friday, it's pump and dump in it. So that would probably add up. But uh, you know, you've seen that model work out time and time again. I think you know every time I jump in, you bring up that model that you keep seeing. You know, where
Mm-hmm.
we have that arch top and then we dip down and
Just
then we
and then
just
jump.
pump north.
Oh yeah.
Well, we're getting it again.
Yeah.
You know, we've just had it. So,
Mm-hmm.
but so it's happened 3 or 4 times during the last what couple of months, 3 months.
Yeah. And for
Yeah.
everybody's understanding of confusion, Johnny is in Australia in the future, so tomorrow is Thursday for most of us.
Oh, yeah.
You made me look though for a second because my days run into each other. I'm like, damn, is it Thursday? Did I miss the class last night? Like,
That's my job to test you.
that's funny. Yeah, I think both of us get so many of the late nights, right? That the days run into each other. But yeah, I and that's kind of I was talking a little on that in the mentor part is that a lot of times, right, for us to get a deep pull after just such a ridiculous push, you know, the market or hedge fund style trading, right, is they want to see something really bearish happen, right? Now, to your point, they have to be able to build up enough orders to move it how they want it, right? To wipe that liquidity and such. And so a lot of times when you get up into a certain range, like you mentioned, they're going to find a little bit of a kind of like a distribution style setup, right? Before they just straight up drop it. And it's frustrating because as a trader for, you know, back when I was really learning, you know, we get way high in this range and all we can think about is like, you know, we're going to be dumping at some point, right? And you keep looking for that push or that pull depending if you're a bear or a bull, and that distribution kills you, right? Because you're like, here it goes, this is it, and then it jumps and wipes all your stop losses and you're like, here it goes, you know. And so that's eventually once they beat you up enough, right, to make you numb to that, that's usually when they drop it. So yeah, so I'm definitely thinking the same. I don't know that things aren't really lined up yet for us to do like the full dump, right? Like the crash back like people want, but you know, the market at some point has to balance, right? And so we will get a balance but yeah, I could see them ranging this for a little bit. So, but let's see it's going to be really important. The most important thing to me, guys, is when you look at this from an overall structure like that. As this pushes up like this, like these low or highs, I'm sorry, right there, somewhere around that 360-ish range is critical, because if we break that and then we test these lows around the 300 range and we break that, that's where we're gonna just full pull, right, all the way back to the low there. But anything that's held above that kind of 360 range, you know, we're either gonna consolidate or we're gonna go back up for a new high. So, but we got to see. I just want to see if it's still doing more bullish things or bearish things, right? And so right now we have our deep pull with our absorption and we got the close above. My concerns about this a little, I mean, we're not through it yet, right, is usually when you get that kind of push, anything that stays above that halfway, right, from that push, which would be somewhere in here, if we stay above there, it runs the risk of jumping again. Anything that breaks below that halfway is going to have a deep pull. like deep, right? It's going to go for a lower low. And so we're kind of in that mid range. And you can see even the 15-second, man, look how tight that thing is. Just waiting.
At that 28,500 level, we're bouncing out of a bearish 1 hour imbalance right there. So that's why we keep bouncing out of there.
Yeah.
We got to break through that.
Man, yeah, definitely. And the thing that's really intriguing me, guys, mostly is they're giving some really big pushes, but they're also pretty decent drops, right? Like look how violent these are, right? And so when I'm watching the DOM, it's kind of weird because we're getting like a pull jump, like the buyers are there for sure, kind of like we had yesterday. But every now and then you'll get that like jump and then absorption, right? Like the deep absorption back. Like see how it just kind of did it right there. And so the sellers are definitely still interested in selling here too. And so
Yeah, it's been a pretty wacky market. So
that's
they're
crazy.
trading the search and destroy model, and then they do the Judas swings as well. If you notice, before they'll push it up before they push it down. So, and it's pretty much on every single move.
Mm-hmm.
So now we've got a mini bull flag. And there's the push down, and you watch it.
Yes.
They'll push it up.
Well, see what I want to see here, because again, I'm trying to still see, does the market structure do what it's supposed to, right? So when you do kind of logic like that, when you get that deep absorption with the close above, that's got to create a higher high. But it's got to be like how high that creates usually is pretty significant, right? This didn't create a very good high, and so that's why you're getting this pull, right? But if you take this low from the push and the high, arguably halfway is somewhere here, right? And so we're still not bearish from it, because if you think about it, right, we kind of hit that halfway, the prior high, and we're bouncing into another hammer. So if this comes into another hammer and closes and we get the price to supersede that, that's going to likely push pretty hard. Anything short of that, though, when you have a lower kind of push like that, or weaker, and it breaks that halfway point, it usually is met with a pretty deep push. It almost always creates a lower low, right? And so be really careful on your longs there, right? Until we see, you wouldn't want to go long unless you can get this to come up and reclaim, right? Which would also put it above the RB, put it above there, right? And then that would sweep up to these highs. But I don't know. It's, you guys know I love the DOM and I love to watch the kind of the order flow play out, and it's tricky because we're getting just as many pressure up as we're getting down, right? Which could, also kind of validate, what you were saying, Johnny, with the the consolidation, right? Because when you see that equal pressure fight, right, that's literally what causes consolidation in it. So we'll see that pull. Now watch, let's see if it does it. That should be able to breach wick this pretty deep, and then if it gets the close below, right, that structure failure usually creates a pretty good lower low. So his short option, let's see, a rejection retest of the 200 EMA, breaks below Lisma, 1 minute Lisma. So he doesn't want to take a short still until you get below Lisma. So he called the 426. He wants to close there, which is valid, right? Because Lisma is Lisma, right? I mean, we can still bounce from there for sure. But from a structure way, right, usually this failure that fails that halfway, it tends to pull pretty deep. So let's see. So far, it's funny. The order flow is a little wacky, but the structure that is supposed to play out is mostly played out, right? But I'm curious to see how this holds through Lisma here. We also rejected right at that 500 level, right? Which you guys all know, those round numbers the market hates. So this original hit did not breach very deep. Let's see if we get a breach. There it is. Now let's see if we get that close for the lower low, right? Which is a structure play. Trying to see if there's anything else. Yeah, this 426 right here. See this? going to be critical because see where it jumped right there? So if it does bounce heavily off this 426 with a breach here, close above, that would be a pretty deep reclaim, right? Anything short of that, I would suspect we're going to get that lower low from here at least. But let's see. See how we're getting those. See how we had like a drop, push, drop, right? The bears are coming in, guys. So here's the pull. Now we're coming into the 5-minute kind of VWAP setting we have here. So let's see if we get that lower low like I was expecting. Or did we get a any kind of fakes? Oh, Neo's sleeping. That's what happens when I put him on mute. Apparently it's a Chrome thing, according to Alex. Oh. I have it on full screen. There we go. Get off the full screen. There we go. Let's go back into put Neo back on there.
Hello, I'm Neo. Let's capture the move.
Yeah, I guess Alex was saying with Chrome, if you don't have the audio or it's not your primary thing you're clicking on, then it times out. I'm like, that sucks because that's all I use is Chrome. No. But he's going to add some things in there to kind of keep nudging him, keep him alive. So let's just see. We didn't create quite the lower low, but you know we're still flat top, right? So we haven't reclaimed anything yet as well. So this looks like VWAP is where we're pushing. That push is going to matter. But see what I mean, guys? Look at that absorption. The push with an absorption south. It doesn't scream we're about to jump, right? So from the consolidation, I want to see where do we find our low. So we have the Asia high here, so that would be the lower low. There it is on that structure. So I had pretty good take profit on that one. That hit. So let's see. But y'all see how that when how I look at it, I like to look at order flow and structure of what candle progression should do. And when it doesn't do it, it tends to tell you a story, right? When you get to really studying. And a lot of this, like I said, this is a bullish absorption to the north with a good solid clean close. It acted like it, but it needed to create a higher high that was substantial enough to hold that prior high. It can pull back, but usually it needs to hold that halfway like it tried to do there. Once it loses that, it tends to pull to that lower low. Now whether we bounce from here or not is yet to be seen. We'll have to watch it, right? But to see so far from the mentor side of it this morning, plus you know what we just did now and through this, the structure itself is respecting. So anybody take that short from there? I don't have Google Meet on my main screen, so I gotta look at the thumbs up y'all do. Good deal. Yeah, so be patient now, right? Because again, we keep hitting these areas into absorption to the north. So for us to come down and get a absorption back to the north is not way out of bounds, right? Of probability. So, but let me. I want to keep watching it, but I also want to hear Neo's thoughts. So I'm gonna unmute him again. But if anybody has questions, you let me know, and I can definitely mute him again. Trying to fit all this stuff in there, but it's okay. We'll just put it right there. All right. So now again, right, we're a deep pull with absorption, which again validates that whole, you know, kind of consolidation theory of trying to trap people, right? So we did clear the gap fill there and there. Any kind of close, again, guys, even though we created the lower low from that structure failure, we're still higher low, right, from the longer term. And so any kind of push here with the close above there should have enough to push this there. Now those that are in the development side, you guys know we've been studying this for a bit, right? When market pushes up and it pulls back that halfway and it pushes up and it fails to hold that structure I was talking about, it creates a lower low, then it's going to try one more time. If that one more time fails at any point below here, right, or fails to even create a substantial high, that next pull is going to be really deep, like all the way to there, right? So let's just watch that. overall pressure from the DOM here. So we are coming into that 200 EMA. So let's see if we get any kind of rejection off that. So we're breaking above there. Still pressuring heavily north. Remember what I was saying? The close above there tends to to really push that. So this is an important push, because if this push hard absorbs south, that pull is going to be nasty. But this push, structure-wise, remember, and it's been respecting the structure, should allow it to test at least there, or possibly even another high.
The market is showing a push into recent supply as price attempts to reclaim levels above the 1-minute EMA 200, though it remains capped by the 5 minutes LISMA, which is currently at 28,544.25. Sentiment. Bullish pressure. Confidence. 6 out of 10. Reason. Price has reclaimed the 1-minute EMA 200 at 28,469.0 and the 1-minute anchored VWAP at 28,437.25. With recent green high Kinashi momentum signaling an attempt to test macro resistance. Concerns. The 5 minutes LISMA sits at 28,544.25 and acts as significant macro resistance, potentially stalling upward momentum and creating a high probability of a rejection. Long entry option. None. The distance between the current price and the 5 minutes LISMA at 28,544.25 provides insufficient room for a clean continuation trade. Short entry option. A push into the 5 minutes LISMA resistance area followed by a confirmed rejection and a break below the 1-minute EMA 200 would offer a high probability short. The invalidation would be a firm close above the 5 minutes LISMA. Summary. MNQ is in a recovery phase, but the presence of the 5 minutes LISMA overhead limits long side potential. Traders should wait to see if price can overcome the macro boundary or if it will reject and retest the 1-minute EMA 200 level.
Yeah, so we kind of have a nice little range build, right? You got your ORB for that, but then you can kind of see where we're pressuring and where we're pressuring. So see if we keep respecting that. I would love to just kind of create some deep consolidation, but the DOM right now is definitely trying to pressure. We're getting a little bit of sell pressure, but it definitely looks like more like it's trying to pressure north, but let's see. Again, you know, the structure itself is supposed to come up and test that high.
I will say I took a bad trade this morning before open, and through sheer will, I was able to climb out of it.
Nice.
with that last climb right there. So
Yeah,
I'm back to green, man. Never give up, guys. Never surrender.
Yeah, that's a lot of what touching on what I was just talking about, right, with the mentor portion, is that, you know, everybody wants to seek the best entry, but trading is really not about the best entry. I mean, it's important, but it's about knowing a plan, right? Anticipating movement, structure, you know, and you can lose the battle, you just got to win the war, right? As long as you're green at the end of the day, who cares? And so that's awesome that you were able to battle that through. See how we're getting this rejection, guys? This is a that's why I'm heavily watching this, because see, when you get the rear back and the push, if this thing collapses back through, I'm telling y'all, like that pull is just deep. It's nasty. Now remember, any kind of push halfway rear back is normal, so we can rear back all the way to there and still jump, right? But just kind of watching this. But that's awesome, Andrew, man. Good job.
It stopped right in the middle of a trap and turned south on the 15 second.
See how we're trying to fill them a head and shoulders? That's what I'm watching. If I can get this to give a little shoulder up and then a pull close, right? And we can get at least that halfway, at least my bearish patterns are still playing out, right? And so it just validates my potential for kind of ranging up here. If it can keep doing that. So let's see, this is going to be a big one. I want to see a sweep back down to see if it does. Now if we get a jump, right, then that's our first bearish pattern invalidated, right? If we were to just spring up there. And then that's going to tell you the buyers are going to start winning this battle, I think. But let's see. So that's what I love about looking at the micro, because I can see where the strength is, right? Who's winning the battle, if you will.
Yeah, 463 is a key level, so on mine anyway, so that's a retest of that level.
Yeah, I have it too. I have it as 464 right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I want to see. That's what I'm watching to see, because if this can break that with the head and shoulders, right, that tells me either A, the bears are getting stronger and we're likely to be more down.
MNQ is currently testing the 1 minute EM.
Let me mute him for a second. We're likely to be more down, right? But if we get a hold there with an invalidation of the micro, then the bears are going to our bulls are likely going to win it. So this is a big one. But let's see what he says.
Sentiment. Bullish pressure. Confidence. 5 out of 10. Reason. Price has reclaimed the 1 minute EMA 200 and remains supported by the 1 minute LISMA at 28,448.50 and the 1 minute anchored VWAP at 28,041.75, showing resilience above the 5 minutes EMA 200 at 28,366.25. Concerns. The 5 minutes LISMA remains a significant macro resistance obstacle, and recent 1 minute red high Kinashi candles indicate weakening momentum as price fails to sustain its recent highs. Long entry option. None. The lack of clean, sustained bullish expansion and the proximity to the 5 minutes LISMA overhead make a continuation setup high risk. Short entry option. A confirmed rejection of the recent push, followed by a break and hold below the 1 minute EMA 200 at 28,469.50, would provide a setup to target the 5 minutes EMA 200. Invalidation occurs on a sustained breakout above the 5 minutes LISMA. Summary. The market is in a consolidation phase between the 1 minute EMA 200 and the 5 minutes LISMA. Traders should watch for a decisive break of these boundaries to determine the next directional move, as the current price action lacks the conviction for a momentum trade.
Pretty cool. Isn't it cool to see? I don't know if you guys notice it, but I definitely notice it, that since we've implemented his personality of it, he reads those so much smoother. So much smoother.
Yeah, I noticed the same thing. He's just like the LSMA.
Yeah.
You know?
Or Kong.
Yeah,
Cerns. Bro.
yeah, a lot clean. Yeah. Impressive.
Yeah. We're going to keep on pushing, man. Just keep making them better and better. See how we're getting this, guys? Now, the head and shoulder here is kind of elongating, but I want to still see, because it's the lower high, do we get that structure pull, right? There you go. That's what I was looking at. What was his short entry? Hold below 469. I mean, we did. Let's see. Yeah, we got the close there. I mean, again, you know, depending on your patience of that hold below. But see, this guy's like, watch, this is gonna be deep. I'll bet. I'll be surprised if it's not, because remember, like I said, from a structure, it's usually a push, pull, hit, can't do it, lower low, can't do it again. A lot of times that creates another lower low, right? But let's just see how we play out. It's definitely a tricky area, but I'd love to see that play out again, just because, again, like I said, it's going to validate that although it's very tricky, the market still is respecting structure, right? Which is the most important. So let's see if we get a push, and if we get a push, does it get absorbed? That's what I'm mostly looking at. There it goes. Like clockwork. Let's see how low it goes, though. See how we're getting the push and then the absorption back.
Yeah, demand's sitting at around 388. So we need to breach there to go down further.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, we'll see, right? You know, nothing in the market is guaranteed, but usually the way I study the structure, when we fail that, it creates that lower low. When we come up again and we fail again, it creates another lower low. So this is going to tell me a lot, because if it does create that lower low, then we're still validating structure, right? Doesn't mean we're going to crash, right? It still means that the structure is playing out as it should. Any kind of push here that just explodes is going to be also very telling, right? So that's mostly what I'm watching now to see is it still doing what it should be doing. So we have a little gap fill up there, which is interesting. 462. See that pressure coming in, guys? The bearish. Should keep dropping, but let's just see. We're coming into, yeah, some decent support.
MNQ is showing immediate
That's what he
weakness
says.
as it drops below the 1-minute EMA 200 at 28,468.50 and the 1-minute LISMA at 28,453.25. Shifting sentiment to bearish after failing to sustain higher levels. Sentiment. Bearish pressure. Confidence. 7 out of 10. Reason. Price has decisively broken below both the 1-minute EMA 200 and the 1-minute LISMA, while 1-minute high Kinashi candles remain red, indicating a failure to reclaim the upper range and a move toward macro support. Concerns. The 5 minutes EMA 200 at 28,367.0 is nearby and acts as a primary macro support level, which may block immediate downside expansion. Long entry option. None. The current breakdown and negative slope of the 1-minute LISMA make any long setup counter trend and prone to failure. Short entry option. A push into the 1-minute LISMA at 28,453.25 followed by a confirmed rejection, or a breakdown below the 5 minutes EMA 200 at 28,367.0 after a confirmed retest, would provide a valid entry. Invalidation is a firm reclaim of the 1-minute EMA 200. Summary. The market has shifted toward a bearish bias following the failed hold above the 1-minute EMA 200. Traders should look for the current momentum to test the macro support at the 5 minutes EMA 200. Maintaining caution as price nears that structural boundary.
A little bounce here. We have a gap fill right there, right? So I want to see if the bears absorb any of this. Getting some decent pressure back north. We are below some key levels though. If you look on the macro, guys, we're just kind of hanging out internally on the doji, and then we do have a hammer, but we never got to close above that, right? So a close above it would give us the push, close below it's going to give us a pretty deep pull. Let's see. I'm still seeing more weakness than strength though, guys, but we'll see. Again, you know, see here, we treat it the same way. The pull, we hit almost perfect or pretty close to perfect of halfway. I would call that like right there. So anything that stays below here, right, is going to give you that lower low. But the DOM is suggesting a little push, but I don't know. It just keeps getting absorbed. See where it's like doing that like jump, jump, drop, jump, jump, drop. See that? I would not be taking any longs, guys, right here. I'd be really careful. I've just been mostly scalping these short. So this is going to be a big area right here, because if we lose this area, it's going to get that lower low that I was kind of talking about for a bit there. Just watching the pressure. See the pressure again. It's tricky because it's jumping, right? So the buyers are not gone, but the sellers were just kind of absorbing them. So let's watch this. This is going to be important because we do have a head and shoulder style that played out. Now we're into a double bottom. Again, if we breach above here, that should explode us up to here. If this fails, then that's going to be very telling, right? Because then we have a bearish pattern that played out and a bullish pattern that fails. Right, so that's going to be a very telling. So we are flat top at 455. Again, The Dom's tricky, man, because see that jump right there? But every time that it jumps, it's like they just absorb it.
Hey, Nick.
Hmm.
What indicator group is your Lisma under?
This one is flow trading. This one is adaptive liquidity framework.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's gonna have any kind of push, it's gotta do it soon. Otherwise, this is gonna be a double bottom breakdown. But again, guys, we're getting more absorption style to the north here, and we have a gap fill.
MNQ is currently testing the 1-minute anchored VWAP at 28,439.75, struggling to maintain recovery momentum as it remains trapped below the 1-minute Lisma at 28,451.0 and the 1-minute EMA 200 at 28,466.50. Sentiment: bearish pressure. Confidence: 7 out of 10. Reason: price remains contained by the 1-minute Lisma and the 1-minute EMA 200, confirming that the bears hold control of the short-term structure despite the current attempt to push toward the 1-minute anchored VWAP concerns. The 5 minutes EMA 200 at 28,366.50 is the next significant macro support level, potentially causing a stall or a bounce if selling pressure exhausts before reaching it. Long entry option: none. The price is currently blocked by the 1-minute anchored VWAP and the 1-minute Lisma, providing no clear path for an upside expansion. Short entry option: a rejection at the 1-minute anchored VWAP or a failed push into the 1-minute Lisma, confirmed by red high Kinashi candle activity, would support a move toward the 5 minutes EMA 200. Invalidation is a firm breakout and hold above the 1-minute Lisma. Summary: the market structure is definitively bearish as long as price remains beneath the 1-minute Lisma and the 1-minute EMA 200. Traders should focus on short side opportunities that align with this directional bias, provided there is enough room before the 5 minutes EMA 200 macro support.
Provided there's enough room. Yeah, he's seeing the similar pressure I am, but again, this micro one is huge for me. See how we're collapsing? It's trying to. Look at the bulls absorb it. See, because we're double bottom. The bulls need this micro to play out. So now we have a neckline test into a hammer. That should push and close above there, which should push us pretty heavy. If it fails, though, again, we have a bearish thing that played out with a bullish thing that invalidated. And that's going to be very telling, guys. So as long as we stay above that, though, it should push. So let's see if it actually does here. And if the bears absorb them, or do we push? Because this is all right now looking like it really should jump, right? But the DOM is still absorbing some. So we'll see. We'll see what they got here. 10:30.
I don't have confidence in this. I'm just gonna watch for a minute.
It's not a bad idea, right? Because it's the market. I'm not afraid of scalping some things because most of my scalps I'm taking are things I'm willing to ladder, and I have or defensive play, and I have enough equity in the accounts that I've already earned today in profit that I don't mind playing with some of that profit, right? But if you don't have that, or you're a little new or skeptical, this is a very dangerous area, for sure.
I just like taking bounces off the 200.
Yeah, just it's a little tricky. Most of my directional plays have been more southern, for sure, more south, which is what I said, but it's kind of a, it's a pivotal point right here, right? Because if we breach this 200, it could definitely jump.
Yeah, I just take like one or two small little rejections off for 25, 30 bucks, something like that.
Yeah, I'm really watching this area right now because I want to watch and see how the DOM reacts. So when I'm looking to the right here, guys, it's because I'm watching my DOM. Let's see. So right now we're kind of stalemate. You see that? See the drop though? Now let's see if they get it absorbed, or do we just pull? See that drop again? It's not really absorbing either that much. There it is again. See that? See the weakness that it shows? I know that you, those of you guys that have been in my class for a while, y'all love those DOM movement drops, don't you? Isn't it cool how much that can tell you? And think about this, guys. That is a more of a bull trap because we have a double bottom confirmed neckline test with a close above, and it just crashed. So that tells me we have the bearish one plays out, the bullish one just trapped. From a structure standpoint, like I said, this should create a lower low. And so staying on the short side definitely is playing off or playing out well.
The market is currently struggling to maintain a bid, as the failed attempt to hold the 1-minute EMA 200 at 28,465.50 has led to a retest of the recent lower range. Sentiment: bearish pressure. Confidence: 7 out of 10. Reason: price is trading below the 1-minute LISMA at 28,454.75, the 1-minute anchored VWAP at 28440.0, and the 1-minute EMA 200, confirming that sellers maintain control of the immediate structural trend. Concerns: the 5 minutes EMA 200 at 28,367.25 remains a significant macro support boundary that could limit the current downside move and trigger a bounce. Long entry option: none. The bearish alignment of the 1-minute LISMA, 1-minute EMA 200, and 1-minute anchored VWAP renders long positions high risk and counter trend. Short entry option: a rejection of the 1-minute anchored VWAP or the 1-minute LISMA followed by a confirmed break of the most recent low would provide a high probability continuation setup toward the 5 minutes EMA 200. Invalidation is a firm breakout and hold above the 1-minute EMA 200. Summary: bearish dominance is confirmed as price fails to reclaim key moving averages, and the anchored VWAP traders should look for short side continuation entries as the market seeks liquidity at the macro support level of the 5 minutes EMA 200.
Good deal. Let's see. I figured while he was talking, I'd take a minute to use the restroom. Love the downtime Neo gives me. So he still don't like longs whatsoever. Rejection of the 1-minute anchor. We'll follow the confirm most recent low. Provide high probability continuation setup. So what I'm gonna do, I just sent a note to it. I'm gonna look at it later because I would love for him to prioritize when he puts the value. If he's gonna refer to it in a call, right, put the value in the call. That would keep me from having to look for it. So I'm going to look to see if we can mold that a little bit. But he wants a rejection off of basically 440, which is where we're at now. And then and then followed by the break between the most recent low. So he wants to see this kind of reject from up here, either 440 or LISMA, and a close below that low is what he's looking at for an entry on the short side. Let's see if we get that pull. We're still not holding that. You guys notice how we're still not getting that low. So it's like, it's weird because the bears are definitely there, which is just kind of validating that whole consolidation theory with it, but the bears are not gone.
The trend line from the ORB low is really holding.
Yeah, because it's definitely, the bears are not gone, but the bulls are not gone either. So let's see how it treats this high, guys. Because we're still creating those higher lows, right? You almost have kind of like a, yeah, kind of like that.
Definitely got a triangle for me.
Yeah. So let's see if watch the DOM and see how the pressure shifts. So we ended up going double bottom, breakdown, into another micro double bottom that played out. So let's see how this pushes. Just kind of watch the DOM. It's still pressuring pretty good north. Let's see if we get any kind of pulls from it, because we're in an area that's getting close to where sellers kicked in before. Let's see. Still pretty much pushing more northern. I haven't seen the DOM drops yet. Just pressuring. So we're coming into our upper area. Let's see how this respects.
The market has reclaimed the 1-minute EMA 200 at 28,464.75 and the 1-minute LISMA at 28,458.50, shifting to a bullish short-term structure as buyers push through prior resistance. Sentiment: bullish pressure. Confidence: 6 out of 10. Reason: price has achieved a breakout above the 1-minute EMA 200 and is currently holding above the 1-minute anchored VWAP at 28,440.50. With green high Kinashi candles signaling renewed momentum. Concerns: the 5 minutes LISMA sits at 28,536.75, which acts as the primary macro resistance that must be cleared to confirm a broader trend reversal. Long entry option: a pullback to test the 1-minute EMA 200 or 1-minute LISMA followed by a confirmed bounce and breakout of the recent high would provide a logical entry to target the 5 minutes LISMA. Invalidation occurs on a sustained break and hold back below the 1-minute EMA 200. Short entry option: none. The immediate bullish momentum and the breakout above the 1-minute EMA 200 make short side entries high risk against the prevailing short-term trend. Summary: MNQ has successfully reclaimed key structural levels, indicating a shift toward bullish control. Traders should look for stability above the 1-minute EMA 200 to support further moves toward the 5 minutes LISMA macro resistance.
Yeah, so guys, I'm watching this DOM because we're, again, the ranging theory, right? Push, pull, push, pull, push. Are we going to continue to range, or are we looking to break out? Now, just like when we were down in this area here, we had gap fills up north, right? Now we're up here and we have gap fills down south. So I'm looking to see, are the sellers kicking in and we're just going to keep ranging, right? Or is this higher low pressure going to actually push us, right? So that's kind of the thing I'm trying to watch. There's that. So we're getting jumps still, right? But see that first drop? Let's see if we get a second one. Because we did get a little DOM drop there for a second there. Let's see if we get another one. So we're starting to pull. So close below there should retest these highs, right? But buyers are coming in again. Let's see if the sellers absorb it. Anything that collapses below here, which is pretty much LISMA, right, will be a deeper pull. And it'll confirm the ranging. So we're definitely getting into a couple DOM drops. Let's see if we get another one. More intrigued as to how it handles these highs here, around 65. Buyers are trying, man. They're pushing. There's the drop. Let's see if it gets absorbed. Again, I'm watching kind of 467 or so. A pullback tap of that will tell me everything. Because if that taps and jumps, right, we're going up. But if it breaks down, right, we're just still consolidating. Let's see if we see any kind of dumb jumps. A little bit of pressure. It's also a bull flag, guys, you can see. So that's also going to tell us something, because if that does do its explosion like a bull flag could, or should, right, would push up here and then hold that high, and that's going to be very strong on the bull side. So, but it's got to break that. If any collapse of that, right, is going to be pretty deep. So, but so far it's showing some pretty decent strength north. What was his long? He wanted to pull back to either Lisma or the 200, which was there. So we didn't quite get that. Got a little bit of a pullback. Yeah. But yeah, guys, the bullish momentum is definitely kicking in here. Now we're coming up into the peaks here, so this is moment of truth, right? Either we're going to just expand like crazy north, or it's going to collapse.
MNQ is maintaining a strong bullish push, having successfully cleared the 1-minute EMA 200 at 28,466.25 and currently trading well above the 1-minute Lisma at 28,470.50 as it approaches macro resistance. Sentiment: bullish pressure. Confidence: 8 out of 10. Reason: price has established a clear uptrend after reclaiming the 1-minute EMA 200, supported by a positive slope on both the 1-minute and 15 seconds Lisma and consistent green Heikin Ashi momentum. Concerns: the 5 minutes Lisma at 28,531.50 is the next significant hurdle that could stall this advance, as it remains a key macro boundary that has been trending downward. Long entry option: a breakout and hold above the 5 minutes Lisma at 28,531.50 would trigger a continuation long, targeting higher liquidity. Alternatively, a shallow pullback to the 1-minute Lisma at 28,470.50 followed by a bounce and new push would offer a favorable entry, with invalidation set at a firm break below the 1-minute EMA 200. Short entry option: none. The strength of the current bullish momentum makes short side positioning counterproductive until price shows a clear, sustained rejection at the 5 minutes Lisma. Summary: the market has shifted to a strong bullish bias, supported by structural reclaiming of the 1-minute EMA 200. Traders should look to participate in the momentum toward the 5 minutes Lisma, while remaining disciplined at that macro boundary to see if the trend can sustain its expansion.
Yeah, that 5-minute Lisma is going to be really big for me, guys. Because that 5-minute Lisma, the way it's flat like that, tends to like to reject, not break. So if that breaks, that's some strength at the bulls. So I'd be really surprised if it does. But let's see. There's a lot of bullish pressure, and you guys see that coming in. So we definitely got a lot of bullish pressure coming in. But how this treats this Lisma is going to be huge, guys. Any kind of breakdown here. Now that we have some structure with it, right? Remember the bullish bull flag, right? We did get the expansion. It usually comes down and retests around here. Any kind of breakdown of that, right? It's going to just be a trap, and it's going to be pretty deep. You know, confirming the consolidating. So let's see. A lot of times when this is really flat like that, it struggles to break it. Now if it does break it, man, that's some strength. And we're going up. Because look at this buy volume kicking in, guys. Something's going crazy. They're about to do something in a move. Something's coming.
Yeah, there's a large node up at 710.
Look at that sweep, though.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that drop? Let's see if they absorb it, but...
Yeah, 28,500 is what they want to test on.
I don't know, man. I'm getting this, like, feeling like they're going to keep pushing pressure for the bullish and then just keep smacking those stop losses on the whipsaws down.
Mm-hmm.
They just keep kind of setting up that pressure, and then out of nowhere you get that. Let's see if we get a shift, because the pressure has been really bullish, like almost overly bullish. But again, like most of you know, if we can't break a certain level, then that will shift very quickly. That 519 is going to be a big level, guys, because see, it's this one right here where we just floored. We breached that above, man. It's going. Let's see if we get any kind of shift in pressure here. Here comes the Lisma, right into it.
MNQ is aggressively testing the 5 minutes Lisma at 28,536.0 as it continues to climb, bolstered by a strong positive slope on the 1 minute and 15 seconds Lisma and consistent bullish progression. Sentiment: bullish pressure. Confidence: 7 out of 10. Reason: price is exhibiting a strong, sustained push above the 1 minute EMA 200 at 28,468.25 and the 1 minute Lisma at 28484.0, confirming the continuation of the current uptrend toward macro resistance. Concerns: the 5 minutes Lisma sits at 28,536.0 and remains the primary macro boundary. A failure to achieve a sustained breakout beyond this level may trigger a significant pullback as profit taking increases. Long entry option: a breakout and hold above 28,536.0 with sustained volume would offer a high probability continuation long. Alternatively, a pullback to the 1 minute Lisma at 28,484.0 that shows a confirmed bounce would provide a secondary opportunity, with invalidation set at a close back below the 1 minute EMA 200. Short entry option: none. The current upward momentum and positive slope of the moving averages make the risk of a counter trend short excessive until price definitively rejects the macro resistance of the 5 minutes Lisma. Summary: bullish momentum remains in control as the index pushes toward macro resistance. Traders should focus on confirming the breakout at the 5 minutes Lisma or waiting for a controlled pullback to structural support for a continuation entry, avoiding premature shorts into a trending market.
Yeah. Good advice. So I love that he's giving alternatives, right? The breakout or the pullback. So for me, you guys know how I feel. I'd prefer to let it take that pullback, right? Give me some kind of recovery. I'm watching this heavily because we did bounce pretty close to where I have this upper line, right? And so if that continues to hold as support, it's going to, right? But if we collapse that, then we're going to get a deep pullback on that. So I'm seeing a lot of bearish pressure start to come in, but let's see if it can break that. See how the bulls picked it up right there at that same level? If they lose that level, that's what's going to pull it down heavily. But if they can hold that level with the dominant pressure and the buy pressure coming in, then it's going to go up again. So, but we're just testing Lisma. Now, you guys know, most of you that are in the classes, anytime we test any kind of level or Lisma, it likes to kind of wick it and then like get a rear back. So I would expect a rear back. If it doesn't do a rear back, kind of down into this area here, man, that's just some strength. And I think the market will, at that point, have chosen its direction. But let's see if it can even break it.
Yeah, it's retested 519 twice and it's holding. So
yep, and that's a critical level for me. If we get that close below there, guys, it's a really good scalp short for it. See the Dom going crazy. The bears are coming in, but the bulls are kind of absorbing them. So I want to see them come in without the absorption. There's another drop. Okay, let's see. No absorption on that one yet. Minor push. Let's see if they kick in again. Decent pressure. Not really dropping, right, or jumping. There's just a lot of pressure in the fight right now. But yeah, that 19 is gonna be huge. If we stay above that and we close above those, right, it's gonna try to go. But if it collapses that, right now we're just compression, right? So we don't really know. Close above here, it's gonna jump. Close below there, it's gonna pull.
it also lines up with the 618 level from the all-time high to the ORB low.
Gotcha.
So they're like within $2. That 519 and the 618 is at 520.75.
Mm.
It almost looks like it's trying to round top on us.
Yeah. The bears are coming in, but the bulls are a little stronger from what I can see from an order flow.
The next macro is about to start too.
Yeah.
MNQ has successfully reclaimed and now trades slightly above the 5 minutes Lisma, which has shifted to a bullish orientation at 28532.0, confirming the structural transition from resistance to potential support. Sentiment, bullish pressure. Confidence, 8 out of 10. Reason, price is holding above the newly bullish 5 minutes Lisma and maintaining support from the 1 minute Lisma at 28,497.50, backed by a strong positive slope on the 15 seconds Lisma. Concerns, the rapid ascent toward this macro level may invite immediate profit taking, and a failure to hold the 5 minutes Lisma as support would invalidate the current breakout momentum. Long entry option, a confirmed breakout and hold above the recent high at 28,539.25, or a clean retest and bounce off the 5 minutes Lisma at 28532.0, provides a high probability continuation setup. Invalidation is a firm move back below the 5 minutes Lisma. Short entry option, none. The bullish alignment of both the 1 minute and 5 minutes Lisma makes short side trading counter trend and inconsistent with the current market state. Summary, the market has achieved a significant structural breakout by reclaiming the 5 minutes Lisma. Traders should prioritize long side participation following a successful retest of this newly established support or unconfirmed continuation beyond the recent local high.
Yeah, and again, like I said, this 519 is what's critical for me. I don't know why. Like, the pressure is very northern, but I agree with one thing he's saying. He's like, this area can be kind of dangerous, right? Because the way that it's pushed, it could lead to some quick profit taking, right? Each time that we've seen these kind of stalls, we end up seeing those like deep sweeps all of a sudden, and it's tough, guy, because the market's still wanting to push, but the way that this is setting up, I feel like if it just did one good little market maker FU right down and then absorb again, kind of like it's done each time here, that would wreck a lot of people.
Yeah, it would, especially since it's holding the 519. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you were looking for the 519 to hold to go long,
Yep.
then a sweep
yeah.
down would take out a lot of stop losses. A sweep down to like 500, below 500.
Mm-hmm. Down back to retest here, the ORB. That's what I'm kind of watching, because it's a tough read, guys. But yeah, I'm to me it looks almost too pretty. So I'm watching the order flow mixed with this, right? But see, we're still getting some pretty good jumps. It's definitely stalling out. Now the thing is, though, remember I was asked the why, right? Like, we're getting a lot of hammers here and pushes that we closed above, right? That should give pretty good push from a candle perspective logic, right? This is very bullish. It's definitely not bearish, right? So I just want to see.
A lot of flat bottoms on the 5 minute.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The next level I would watch for would be around here, like 574, right? Which would be where this structure broke down. That would be that first low there. Yeah, the candle progressions still look pretty bullish, not bearish, that's for sure.
This is one of these zones where I just refuse to trade because it's like, I don't want to fight the trend, you know what I mean? But I know one too many times that I say, oh, you know what, it's just going to continue to be. But as soon as I enter, that'd be the new order block, and it's going to go south.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm watching too, because remember we talked about this at in class last time. When we get these pushes and kind of consolidate and we get that breakout, this retest is huge, because when we break out, retest, close above, that's going to give pretty crazy
MNQ
expansion.
is demonstrating strong bullish intent as it consolidates above the 5 minutes Lisma at 28,000.
I'm going to mute him for a second. It gives that expansion, but if we give that breakout hold and we break back below and we lose that low, it's going to be just crazy violent.
Bullish pressure.
So that's why I'm watching it.
Confidence. 8 out of 10. Reason. Price is holding above the 5 minutes Lisma and the 1 minute Lisma at 28,510.75, while the positive slope on both indicators confirms momentum is firmly behind the buyers. Concerns. The proximity of the current price to the recent highs at 28,546.25 may cause a temporary stall or minor pullback as traders look to secure profits at this resistance. Long entry option. A clean breakout and hold above the local high at 28,546.25 provides a high probability continuation long. Alternatively, a pullback to the 5 minutes Lisma at 28,532.75 that shows a confirmed bounce is a valid entry point, with invalidation set at a close back below the 5 minutes Lisma. Short entry option. None. The bullish structural alignment across all timeframes makes short side trading counter trend and inconsistent with the current momentum. Summary. The market structure is definitively bullish following the successful reclaim of the 5 minutes Lisma. Traders should look to participate in the ongoing expansion, focusing on breakouts of recent highs or controlled pullbacks into the newly established support zones.
Yeah, see this sweet, watch this. Where this lands is huge, guys, because see we have this rising channel. That's what I've been really heavily watching. So now we have an absorption to the north. There's our high, there's our low. Close below that, guys, is going to just do what I was kind of thinking that it might do, but we'll see. Because again, this sets up such a bullish play. Like, we're above the 5 minute Lisma, we're above the 15 minute Lisma. Like, this is all bullish. Like, for, you know, the old, if I was a market maker hat, I would sweep this shit and wreck all of you.
So YOLO 10 contract short right now?
Right. Guys, we are almost 11. Again, I'm gonna drop off of YouTube first here, and then let's TikTok, guys.